Have you ever wondered where the saints they got their joy from? Not the shallow kind, but the kind that endures even when everything else seems to fall apart. I know it's easy to think joy comes from, you could say, success, control, or even feeling appreciated. But the saints show us something that's a bit different. Today's story is about a saint who had everything: royal blood, wealth, and influence. But instead of clinging to it, she walked away. Not because she had to, but because she caught a glimpse of a kingdom far greater than her own, and a king worth giving everything for. And she's going to show us where to find the kind of joy that the world cannot take away. And it isn't found in holding on. It's actually found by letting go of whatever keeps us from God's plans. So I'm going to grab my trusty magnifying glass, and with it we're going to uncover what most people miss about the princess who gave up everything and found far more than she lost. This is a story about a crown the world can't see. Everyone thought Saint Elizabeth of Hungary had it all. She was born into royalty and married at a young age to a kind and noble man. She was graceful and generous. She spent her days visiting the sick, sewing clothes for the poor, and bringing meals to those that unfortunately no one else remembered. But here's what made her different. She didn't serve because she had to. She served because she wanted to. Because for Elizabeth, every act of charity was like lighting a candle before Jesus. However, her life soon turned upside down. In the year of our Lord, 1227, her husband Ludwig set out to join the Sixth Crusade. But unfortunately, he never made it. And before reaching the Holy Land, he died suddenly of a fever while he was still in Italy. Now he was her greatest support, her closest friend. And in an instant, he was gone. As you can imagine, his death devastated Elizabeth. Everything seemed to crumble. The one who had always stood by her was gone. The people she had once trusted, all of a sudden they grew silent, and her friends vanished. As you can imagine, it's a kind of loss that could have broken her, but it didn't. And instead of retreating and hiding away in her grief, she continued to do what she always did, giving her time and her attention. And it was in that silent suffering that her joy, real joy, began to shine. Elizabeth gave away what little she had left. For her, it was never about doing good to, say, feel better about herself. She didn't serve to be admired. She served out of goodness. And the more she gave, the more her heart began to reflect His heart, the Sacred Heart of Jesus. Now, this is the joy that the world can't steal, the crown that the world can't give, the peace that doesn't depend on applauses or recognition. And that's the secret joy of the saints. And that's what real love does. It transforms you. It pulls you out of comfort and into compassion. And it strips away pride. Here is the truth. The real crown is found in serving when no one sees, in giving when it's hard, and loving when it costs you something. So what are you clinging to, thinking that it will bring you joy? And what if that very thing, say the comfort, control, need to be seen, is actually keeping you from the joy that lasts. Elizabeth's life wasn't easy, and after Ludwig's death, she faced betrayal, isolation, and hardships. But she didn't run from her sorrow. What did she do? She brought it to God and trusted in Him. Her suffering didn't stop, but because she didn't run from it, she found something greater. She found true joy. So, what would you do if everything fell apart? If no one stood by you and you had nothing left? St. Elizabeth shows us that even when the world lets you down and walks away, God never abandons us. This is a part of sainthood that unfortunately most people miss. So here's the question I want you to think about. What's standing in the way of your joy? Is it fear? Control? The need to be seen? Because when everything feels unbearable, that's not the moment to give up. That's the moment for us to run, but run to our Blessed Mother. She will never let us down. Even when everything feels completely lost, when the people that we counted on are no longer there, and the weight, you could say, is too much to bear, our Blessed Mother is the one who stays. Because we know she knows what suffering, what it means, how to suffer. Because after all, she stood at the foot of the cross with nothing left but her faith. And she knows how to lead us, even in the dark, straight to her Son Jesus. If you ever felt like joy is out of reach, if you're alone and overwhelmed or unsure of what comes next, let this be an invitation for you. Make your consecration to our Blessed Mother. Give her your heart, your hopes, your struggles. She will take care of you far better than even you yourself could. So, don't delay. Make your consecration to our Blessed Mother. And for that, I'm going to leave a link in the description below. Now back to St. Elizabeth, and let's rewind a few years in her life. She was born into royalty, surrounded by comfort and luxury. And although she had everything at her fingertips, she chose to always think of others. And her husband, Ludwig, didn't just allow Elizabeth's generosity, he supported it. And together, they chose to live a life that didn't revolve around their status or power, but around serving those in need. Now, one day, while Elizabeth was on her way to distribute bread to the poor, something she often did, she was stopped by Ludwig's hunting party. Now, those that were with her husband, they were suspicious of her actions. And they began to accuse her of giving away too much from the castle. They even came to the point of saying that she was stealing. Now, sensing the tension, Ludwig stepped in calmly and asked her what she was hiding beneath her cloak. Now, when Elizabeth opened it, everyone, they were all stunned. Because instead of bread, red and white roses tumbled out. And this was the season that they didn't have the flowers at that time. It was a miracle, plain and simple. And her husband Ludwig was delighted. To him, it was a clear sign that God was with her and that her generosity wasn't something to be questioned, but rather something to be respected. Now, they had 3 children. 2 of their children eventually married into nobility, although their only son unfortunately died young. And one of their daughters, Gertrude, she entered religious life and later became an abbess in Germany. Now, in the spring of the year of our Lord 1226, disaster hit their region. Floods, famine, and disease swept across the region. While Ludwig was away in Italy on imperial business, Elizabeth stepped in without hesitation. She took charge of caring for the afflicted, even when it meant giving up the royal family's own clothes and goods. Now, just below the castle of Wartburg, she built a small hospice with 28 beds, and she personally cared for the sick one by one. As you can imagine, it would have been easy at that time to retreat behind the castle walls. But Elizabeth chose a different path. Her response at the moment reveals what made her so extraordinary. She didn't act out of duty or pressure. She acted out of love. Love for God and for the people He placed in her care. It's not just about what we do. It's about how we live. And Elizabeth chose to love when it cost her something. And her story challenges us, all of us, to do the same. We all feel the pull to stay safe, to hold back, to choose what's easy. But St. Elizabeth's life asks, what if the harder path is the one that actually transforms us? Now, true love doesn't wait for the applause. It doesn't calculate convenience. When we love God first, like St. Elizabeth did, that love begins to overflow. So, what are you holding back? Is it your time, your comfort, your plans? We may not all be called to do something dramatic like St. Elizabeth, but all of us are called to love. And love always costs us something. So, when the moment comes, when it's easier to stay quiet, to stay safe, or look the other way, will you choose the comfortable road? Or the one that leads you closer to our Lord and to His Blessed Mother? Holiness starts small, in the hidden, quiet moments of our daily choices. That's where the secret joy of the saints begin. It's not easy. We all know that it's not easy. But with our Blessed Mother at our side, it is attainable. So ask yourself, what are you clinging to? We all face moments when we are tempted to play it safe. Will we choose the crown the world can see, or the one only heaven does? Don't be afraid to let go. Let our Blessed Mother lead you. The crown that heaven offers is worth absolutely everything. You'd think, after all she went through, St. Elizabeth would just want to, rest. But she wasn't done yet. In the final part of her story, we'll see how she kept showing up and how God used her love in ways that still inspire people today. Unfortunately, my time is up, but stick around for the next video, because it just might leave the biggest impact on your life. So I hope to see you in the next video. God bless and Salve Maria.